All right, it's recording.
Perfect. We'll do everything in here.
Mhm. There we go. And
Good morning. Welcome.
hello.
If you guys want to make sure you check the board before you get too settled, that one's perfect. We're going to get right into it today.
All right. Oh, that's the day.
Yes, this one is for today. The other one, if you got that done, that was for Thursday and Friday.
Oh, today's
So,
working?
today we are not doing a work day, but Miss Young is going to lead us in a lesson. So, yeah. You guys want to take a look at our screen before you get settled? We'll be perfect.
I don't. Mama, I'm okay. No. No, stop. Keep him. Do I give him back to him? Can't. Why didn't you answer? Oh no, you're right. I was gonna say, when you get home or nothing? Well, Saturday. It's Saturday. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, but
I ain't your son. I ain't your son.
I didn't say so. I said, how you doing today, sir?
Where were you at? Where were you at?
Huh? Why you waiting on the welding, bro?
Hello, everyone. So, I'm going to be teaching again today. You should all have seen the sections on the board, so you should have a copy of Emerson's Nature, and have done work on your quick write prompt, either on paper or Canvas. We're going to be looking at Emerson's essay Nature today, and this is going to set you up for some of the ideas that he's going to be discussing. We're going to take 5 minutes to complete your quick write, and then we're gonna go on. Our quick write for today on the backboard. Emerson wrote the following quotes in various essays and poems. 1, adopt the pace of nature, whose secret is patience. 2, the earth laughs in flowers. 3, live in sunshine, swim in the sea, drink the loud air. So based on those quotes, what can you infer about his opinion on the natural world and what he wanted out of life? You need to explain your reasoning for both, and this should be 3 to 6 complete sentences.
Looking at those quotes and then thinking about what does that mean about testing perspective about nature? What is it based on those quotes? So it's a positive thing, a negative thing, is it wrong with it, away from it? On nature, what does he think about nature?
No, you're going to write a response about, based on these 3 quotes, what do you think that Emerson believes
you're just
about the natural world and what he wants out of life?
So you're just putting adopt the pace of nature, like accept the time it takes for nature.
Okay. So based on those statements that he made, what can you figure out about the kind of person that he was? What did he think about nature and what did he want out of life?
You can do all 3.
So whether you are writing in your text box or on your paper, you should have a couple of sentences.
Okay, we have 3 more minutes for the quick write.
Wait, do we gotta do all 3?
You're taking all the information together to form your opinion.
Wait, what happened? How did we got here?
And you only get 5
So we're working on quick write right now. We have 3 quotes from Emerson, and based on those quotes, you're going to write a 3 to 6 sentence statement about what you can figure out about his opinion on the natural world and what he wanted out of it.
perspective on the natural world. Is it a positive thing? Does he want to be in nature? Is it something he thinks is good, bad? What is his opinion of nature? What does he want out of life?
We're going to take one more minute, and then we're going to move on to our text for the day.
Yeah.
I can't get it every 1 more minute.
That last one makes
We'll
much
get as
sense.
much done as you can. How many sentences is there? Is 36 sentences? Make sure that you sit down the cover. All right. So we are going to put away our quick writes and grab a worksheet from the side table.
What's
Okay. There are worksheets over here. Everybody needs one.
Once you finish your quick write, bring that to the turn-in tray, make sure your name is on it, and then you can pick up our questions for today if you'd like to do them on paper.
If you don't want to complete the worksheet on paper, it is also posted on Canvas.
The only seat that I'm gonna open is at this color. That is on Canvas.
All right. So we are turning in our
It
quick
is so that
write.
she can examine.
We are getting
No
our
one else is
worksheet,
going to get. And it's just
and
for her
we
to
are
look
getting
back at
ready
practice.
to start our essay for the day.
Oh.
We're writing an essay. We're not writing an essay.
Oh.
Wait, it's on. It's on live, right?
You can get a physical version of the worksheet, or you can get a digital version of the worksheet on Canvas. All right. So, all right, I need voices to quiet down, and eyes up here. I'm going to be reading through Nature by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and you're going to be following along on your physical copies as I do so. We're going to pause occasionally to talk about the text because it's a little bit complicated. Don't worry, we're going to get through it. All right? To go into solitude, a man needs to retire as much from his chamber as from society. I am not solitary whilst I read and write, though nobody is with me. But if a man would be alone, let him look at the stars. A ray that comes from those heavenly worlds will separate between him and what he touches. One may think the atmosphere was made transparent by his design, to give man, in his heavenly bodies, the perpetual presence of the sublime. Seen in the streets of cities, how great they are. If the stars should appear one night in 1,000 years, how would men believe and adore, and preserve for many generations the remembrance of the city of God which has been shown? But every night come out these enclaves of beauty and light the universe with their admonishing smile. All right, so in this first paragraph, Emerson sets up what's going to be the goal of his essay. After we finish the essay, You're going to have to summarize it, so make sure you pay attention to what he's trying to accomplish. He sets up that he is planning on figuring out how to go into solitude. Who can tell me what solitude means? Who knows what solitude means? Has anyone heard that word before? Yeah? Do you know what it means?
Solitude, confinement.
If you were in confinement, you would be in solitude. To be in solitude means to be completely alone. So he's saying his goal is to be completely alone. Not even just that he's all by himself, but that he's not engaging with reading or writing, which are things that other people have contributed to. He wants to be entirely alone. And how does he plan on achieving this? How does he plan on achieving solitude? Can anyone tell me? It is in the third sentence. How does Emerson plan on achieving solitude?
But if I am a man, would be alone, let him look at the stars. Right.
He is going to go out into nature and look at the stars. But why the stars specifically? Does he say? What's special about the stars?
The rays that come from those heavenly worlds.
Can you say that a little bit louder?
The rays that come from the heavenly worlds.
Right. They have rays coming from them. He describes them as sublime. That's a little bit of an older word. Has anyone heard that word before? Sublime? Yeah. Do you know what it means? All right. If something is sublime, that means it is so beautiful that it just makes you awestruck. Now, I know that all of you have seen stars before, right? When you see the stars, how do you feel? I know you've seen stars. We should have a lot of hands up right now. How do you feel when you go outside and you see the stars?
It's like a whole bunch of stuff. It's like a whole bunch of flashlights on at one time.
It looks like there are a bunch of flashlights on. How do you feel inside of yourself? What emotions are stirred? Do you not really feel much of anything anymore? Right, that makes sense because he explains, we see the stars a lot. We see them every night. So they're not really special to us anymore. But if you think about them, they're really incredible, right?
Sure.
Emerson says, seen in the streets of cities, how great they are. If the stars should appear one night in 1,000 years, how would men believe and adore? So what does he mean by that? What does he mean by the idea that we don't really care much about the stars now, but if we had them one day a year, or one day in 1,000 years,
It'd be like a holiday.
yeah, it would be really important to us because we've become desensitized to how beautiful the stars are. All right, we're going to know a little bit more. We're going to read a little bit more, and then we're going to look at question 1. All right. The stars awaken a certain reverence because, though always present, they are inaccessible. But all natural objects make a kindred impression when the mind is open to their influence. Nature never wears a mean appearance. Neither does the wisest man extort her secrets or lose his curiosity by finding out all her perfection. There should not be any talking right now. Nature never becomes a toy to a wise spirit. The flowers, the animals, the mountains reflected the wisdom of his best hour, as much as they had delighted the simplicity of his childhood. All right, so in this paragraph, Emerson talks some more about what makes the stars so incredible. So what is another reason he gives about why the stars are so great, in his opinion? In the first sentence.
They awaken strong reverences.
they awaken reverences, and they do that because they're inaccessible. None of us can reach the stars, right? They're separate from us. Let's look at that first question on the worksheet. Describe how Emerson feels about the stars using text evidence. Why does he believe that most people do not feel the same way? So we want to answer in at least 2 complete sentences. Think about what we've talked about how he has a goal of seeking solitude. What does he do when he wants to seek solitude? What does he do when he wants solitude? Think about the difference between seeing the stars every night and seeing them once in 1,000 years. We're going to take a few minutes to respond to the question, and then we're going to move on. So everybody should be writing. We're going to take one more minute to wrap up question 1, and then we're going to move on. We should all have at least something down for question 1. We're going to go to the 3rd paragraph. When we speak of nature in this manner, we have a distinct but most poetical sense in the mind. We mean the integrity of impression made by manifold natural objects. It is this which distinguishes the stick of timber of the woodcutter from the tree of the poet. The charming landscape which I saw this morning is indubitably made up of some 20 or 30 farms. Miller owns this field, Locke that, and Manning the woodland beyond. But none of them owns the landscape. There's a property in the horizon which no man has, but he whose eye can integrate all the parts, that is, the poet. This is the best part of these men's farms. Yet to this their warranty deeds give no title. All right. So Emerson has already talked about how nature is a place where you can seek solitude, and how nature is great because it's, in a way, mysterious to us. Now he's talking about why nature is great for another reason. Can somebody tell me what's so great about nature in this paragraph? What does he observe in this paragraph? What does he see when he goes out on a walk? He sees the landscape, right? So he sees individual farms, but then he also sees the landscape as a whole. So what he is saying in this paragraph is another reason why nature is so incredible is it is so big, it is so vast that no one can really own it, but we can still see it. All right, continue to the 4th paragraph. To speak truly, few adult persons can see nature. Most persons do not see the have a very superficial seeing. The sun illuminates only the eye of the man, but shines into the eye and the heart of the child. The lover of nature is he whose inward and outward senses are still truly adjusted to each other, who has retained the spirit of infancy, even into the era of manhood. His intercourse with heaven and earth become part of his daily food. In the presence of nature, a wild delight runs through the man, in spite of real sorrows. Nature says, "He is my creature," and maugre all of his impertinent griefs. "He shall be glad with me." Not the sun or the summer alone, but every hour and season the mind yields its tribute of delight. For every hour and change corresponds to and authorizes a different state of the mind, from breathless noon to grimmest midnight. Nature is a setting that fits equally well a comic or a morning piece. In good health, the air is a cordial of incredible virtue. All right. So in this paragraph, Emerson does something kind of interesting. So up until now, he's been talking about nature through description, right? But what does he do here in this sentence? Nature says, "He is my creature." What is he doing? What is he saying about nature?
Nature is like can be like a comfort or like calm, soothing place.
Right. So nature can be a comforting presence. What he's doing here is a literary technique known as personification. Who here has heard of personification before? Yeah? Right. So when you personify something, you give it human traits. And that connects to the transcendental idea that there's something alive, something spiritual about nature. It's not just a thing, it's a presence, right? And we're also going to look at this last part of the paragraph because it's going to come up again later. For every hour and change corresponds to and authorizes a different state of the mind, from breathless noon to grimmest midnight. Nature is a setting that fits equally well a comic or a morning piece. In good health, the air is a cordial of incredible virtue. All right, so this is a bit ago, so you don't have to think back. But I believe it was on Thursday, you had a quick write in which you talked about a place, was it?
Sort of like the weather or our external environment reflecting what we feel inside.
Yeah. You talked about an experience you've had where the weather around you, the setting around you reflected your inner feelings. Does everybody remember that? All right. So Emerson here is talking about the same thing. He's saying that when you go out into nature, what you see is going to be a reflection of what you already feel inside. All right. Let's go on to paragraph 5. We're coming up to our second question soon, so be paying attention to where he is finding comfort and protection in this paragraph. Crossing a bare common in snow puddles at twilight under a clouded sky, without having in my thoughts any occurrence of special good fortune, I have enjoyed a perfect exhilaration. I am glad to the brink of fear. In the woods, too, a man casts off his ears, as the snake his sloth. At what period soever of life is always a child? In the woods, a perpetual youth. Within these plantations of God, a decorum and sanctity reign. A perennial festival is dressed, and the guest sees not how he should tire of them in 1,000 years. In the woods, we return to reason and faith. I feel that nothing can befall me in life. No disgrace, no calamity, leaving me my eyes, which nature cannot repair. Standing on the bare ground, my head is bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space. All mean egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. The currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part or particle of God. The name of the nearest friend sounds then foreign and accidental. To be brothers, to be acquaintances, master or servant, is then a trifle and a disturbance. I am the lover of uncontained and immortal beauty. In the wilderness, I find something more dear and connate than in streets and or villages. In the tranquil landscape, especially in the distant line of the horizon, man beholds something as beautiful as his own nature. All right. So, we were paying attention for times when Emerson feels comfort or protection from nature. Can somebody name a place in this paragraph where he describes feeling comfort or protection?
Number 2.
This is on page 2.
Yes,
No,
this
I'm
is
saying
about
the question.
For question 2.
page 2 of the essay, and we're talking about question 2.
So I was with question.
Who can point to a place in this paragraph where Emerson finds comfort or protection in nature?
Three rows down.
Can you read it?
I am glad to the brink of fear in the woods to a man cast of his ears as the snake is swung.
Yes. So, I am glad to the brink of fear, in the woods too a man casts off his ears as the snake his slough. And at what period soever in life is always a child. In the woods is perpetual youth. So what he is describing there is a feeling when you go out into nature that you're young again, that you don't have the weight of all the years that you had on you before. So that's one comfort that he finds in nature. There is another really important one in this paragraph. Can anybody point it out? It's nearer to the end. Standing on the bare ground, my head bathed by the blithe air and uplifted into infinite space, all mean egotism vanishes. I become a transparent eyeball. I am nothing. I see all. The currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part or particle of God. What is he expressing with those lines? What does he mean?
He felt himself being connected to God.
Right, he felt connected to everything.
I wouldn't say it.
So when he goes out into nature, he feels like he's part of something bigger. All right. We're going to read one more paragraph, and then we're going to write down our answers for number 2. The greatest delight which the fields and woods minister is the suggestion of an occult relation between man and vegetable. I am not alone and unacknowledged. They nod to me and I to them. The waving of the boughs in the storm is new to me and old. It takes me by surprise, and yet is not unknown. Its effect is like that of a higher thought or a better emotion coming over me, which I deemed I was thinking justly or doing right. All right. So in the previous paragraph, we talked about how one sense of comfort he finds in nature is the idea that he's part of something larger. In this paragraph number 6, he says, I am not alone and unacknowledged. Has anybody here ever felt alone or unacknowledged? I'm going to assume at least some of you are thinking yes in your head, because it is an extremely common feeling. Everybody feels it at some point. How wonderful must it feel to not feel those things anymore? Emerson finds a sense of belonging in nature and that he is known. All right, let's look at question number 2 on the worksheet. In this essay, Emerson offers his perspective on where a person can find a sense of comfort and protection. Where does he find it? Explain your reasoning and compare his beliefs to the Puritans. All right, so you're going to need to think back to what we know about what the Puritans, like Anne Bradstreet, thought, where they thought that they could find their protection. Think about, especially on the burning of my house. That is a great example of where Anne Bradstreet felt protection. So you need to name where Emerson finds his perspective and compare it to Anne Bradstreet. You're going to have a few minutes to answer that question, and then we're going to go on. What does Emerson believe provides protection and comfort, and how does that compare to the Puritans' view? And you need to answer in at least 3 complete sentences. I'm not seeing much writing right now, and this is our opportunity to get this work done while we're in class, while expressing our mind. You're going to have about 1 more minute, and then we're going to move on with the essay.
Again, for question 2, you're writing down 2 things. You're writing down where Emerson feels comfortable. Where does he feel a sense of safety? We just talked about that. And the second part of that, thinking back to the Puritans, where do the Puritans feel safe? Where is their hope or their comfort?
Finish up your thought, and then we're going to move on to the last paragraph. Yet it is certain that the power to produce such delight does not reside in nature, but in man or in harmony of both. It is necessary to use these pleasures with great temperance, for nature is not always tricked in holiday attire. But the same scene which yesterday breathed perfume and glittered as for the frolic of the nymphs is overspread with melancholy today. Nature always wears the colors of the spirit. To a man laboring under calamity, the heat of his own fire hath sadness in him. Then there is a kind of contempt of the landscape felt by him who has just lost by death a dear friend. The sky is less grand as it shuts down over less worth in the population. All right, kind of a sad ending note. But do you recall how earlier we thought back to that quick write from a few days ago, and how nature and our surroundings reflect what we're already feeling? He's expressing that same idea here. He is saying you cannot entirely rely on nature for your sense of comfort and fulfillment. It has to be a combination of nature and yourself. All right. Let's look at questions 3 and 4 on the back of the worksheet. These you are going to be completing on your own in what we have left of the class time, all right? So number 3, think back to the 5 major beliefs of the Transcendentalists. I know that you've talked about this before during your introduction lesson. Nonconformity, self-reliance, free thought, idealism, and the spiritual importance of nature. You need to pick two of these beliefs that you feel Emerson most displays in nature. Explain your reasoning with evidence from the essay, and answer in at least 4 complete sentences. Now, I would argue that you can find elements of each and every one of these major beliefs in the essay. What's important is that you justify your answer and you explain it. So, who can tell me what nonconformity is? Briefly.
Being different.
Right. The Transcendentalists believed in the value of being different. Who can tell me what self-reliance is?
Basically, like closing yourself off from everyone and like not necessarily being selfish, but not letting anyone help you.
Right. It's being independent and not relying on.
Basically, you only rely on yourself.
Exactly. You only rely on yourself. Who can tell me what is meant by free thought?
Basically, think whatever you want to think.
You determine what you want to think. You don't worry about organized religion. You don't worry about what the world worries about. You decide. Who can tell me about idealism?
Never pay attention to every like idea.
So idealism is the idea that you look on the positive of everything. You look for the bright side. It's not very practical. It's more about being happy and wanting good things. And the last one, spiritual importance of nature. Who can describe what that's supposed to mean?
Right.
I think it's kind of self-explanatory. So the spiritual importance of nature is this transcendentalist belief that nature is not just the objects around you, that it has a wisdom to it, a sort of life force that you can go to. All right. So think about 2 of those that you see in this essay and point to where you see them. And then for number 4, you're going to briefly summarize Emerson's main idea in the essay Nature. Do you agree or disagree with his perspective? And do you believe that these ideas are still relevant today? You need to explain your reasoning in 5 complete sentences. So think about everything we've talked about this class. What are his goals? How does he try to achieve them? What does he want? All right. We're going to use the rest of the class time to work on these questions. And if you do not complete them during this class period, they're going to be due before the beginning of class tomorrow.
We've got about 6 minutes left. Question 3, you need some text evidence for, but question 4 is just your own words. Your summary. 8, 9.
So this is our opportunity to have time to work on the questions while there's a question online. We don't have time for homework. So we want to mention that, right?
Nerd.
So we're all working independently on this, so we don't need to be talking at all. Alright, so before we go today, I want you to start thinking about what's going to be your quick rate for Wednesday. We're going to be reading another essay by Emerson titled Self-Reliance. As you go about your day, I want you to think about an object, a place, a person that you see every day, so much that you don't really think about it anymore. And I want you to pause and really think about all the different aspects of that object, that place, that action, and what they mean for you. That's going to tie into our quick write on Wednesday. If you are done with your worksheet, turn it into the tray. If you're not, it is going to be due tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow before class starts. And Mrs. Van Beck has an announcement for you as well.
All right, so as we've got a minute and a half left of class, please make sure all of the things that you borrow get back to the counter so that my other classes can borrow them as well. Again, keep in mind that any of those paper copies of our text will go up to the counter. Any pencils, chargers, Chromebooks, anything you borrowed, please make sure that gets back to where it belongs. Okay? I do want to remind you, I know that emails have been sent out and other classes might have reminded you, but tomorrow is the PSAT, so we have testing in the morning. If I could have you guys sit down for just a minute, I am still talking. I need to be sure that everyone hears my words. And we're getting things finished up. Thank you. So tomorrow when you come to school, it will be important that you are here on time. If you are taking the buses, you should be here on time anyway. But if you drive separately or there's any other transportation, make sure you're here by 7:30. You need to be in your test location by 7:30, and make sure you bring your cards, Chromebooks, so that you are able to take tomorrow. Right? I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm in the proctor, so if you're in the field house, I will be administering your test. The field house is over past where like the pool is and everything. It's kind of in that direction. I always lose track of where it is. It takes me a minute to find it as well. So we will explore that together. It'll be
I think I was pretty shaky at the beginning, but I got more confident.